Let's talk about workplace well-being. For a long time, it was kind of seen as a nice to have, a perk. But that's just not the case anymore. Today, it's an absolutely critical part of our modern economy, and honestly, of our own lives. We're going to break down exactly why this has become one of the most important conversations we can have about the future of work. Okay, let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Is work causing you stress? It seems like such a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it tells a massive story about where we're all at in our professional lives right now. If you answered yes to that question, you are so not alone. In fact, across the EU, almost a third of all workers, that's 29%, say they experience stress, depression, or anxiety that's either directly caused by their job or made worse by it. Think about that. Nearly 1 in 3. And look, this isn't just a case of the Monday blues. This is a huge, widespread reality. It means today's workforce is at a real crossroads, and it's forcing us to look beyond the productivity numbers and see the actual human experience behind them. Now, this is where it gets really eye-opening, because there's a huge hidden problem here. Recent data shows that 46% of Europeans have faced some kind of emotional or psychosocial issue. But get this, half of them, never sought any professional help. That's millions and millions of people just toughing it out, navigating this immense pressure in silence. And of course, this pressure isn't happening in a bubble, right? It's being supercharged by what experts are now calling a polycrisis. Basically, a perfect storm of global issues hitting us all at once. You know what I'm talking about. Rising inflation is squeezing everyone's budgets, and that stress doesn't just vanish when you clock in. Then you've got this relentless pace of digitalization creating this always-on culture that just erases the line between work and home. It all adds up. So you can see how this all starts as a very personal struggle for millions, but it doesn't stop there. It creates this massive ripple effect that turns into a huge economic challenge. Because, well, it's pretty simple. When the people doing the work aren't okay, the economy isn't going to be okay either. And when we talk about the economic hit, the numbers are just staggering. The total estimated cost of mental ill health every single year across the EU and the UK is over 600 billion euros. That is a figure so large, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. So to put that 600 billion euro number in perspective, it's about 4% of their entire combined GDP. This isn't a rounding error or some small slice of the pie. It is a major, major drain on economic health and potential. And here's where you can really see the cost and lost potential. Globally, an estimated 12 billion productive days are lost every single year. And that's from just depression and anxiety alone. Just try to imagine all the creativity, the innovation, the progress that just vanishes. But it's not only about the days people don't show up. There's another, maybe even more costly issue called presenteeism. This is when employees are physically at their desks, but mentally, they're just not there. They're struggling, which leads directly to burnout, mistakes, and underperformance. Okay, so after all that, here's the pivot. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if all these massive costs and all this lost potential are actually pointing us toward a huge opportunity? The most forward-thinking companies out there are completely flipping the script. They're realizing that investing in their employees' well-being isn't just an expense. It's one of the single most powerful business strategies they have for long-term growth and resilience. And the research on this is just incredibly consistent. On average, for every $1 a company invests in employee mental health, they see a return of $5. That's a 5-to-1 return on investment. It's not just about good ethics. It is fantastic economics. And the benefits just keep compounding from there. When people feel supported, guess what? They stick around. We're talking 4 times higher staff retention. And that stability and engagement, it directly fuels better performance, helping companies outperform on the stock market and see higher profits. The business case is just undeniable. It's a slam dunk. So when you just lay the two choices out side by side, the path forward becomes crystal clear, doesn't it? On one side, you have inaction, which leads to this downward spiral of lost productivity, high turnover, and billions in costs. On the other side, you have investment, which creates this virtuous cycle of great returns, better retention, and a more resilient, engaged workforce. So the big question then is, how do you actually make this happen in the real world? And spoiler alert, it is not about beanbags and free snacks. It's about building a proactive and genuinely supportive culture from the ground up, making the kind of systemic changes that really matter. Let me give you a concrete example. British Telecom. They put a comprehensive company-wide mental well-being strategy in place. The result? A 30% reduction in mental health-related absences. That is direct proof that when you take intentional, strategic action, it works. And this shows that success really comes from being proactive. It's about early intervention, training leaders to spot the early signs of burnout, not just reacting when there's a crisis. It's about weaving mental health into the company's DNA, normalizing the conversation so people feel safe asking for help. And it's about fostering real resilience by creating true psychological safety, an environment where people can handle challenges without fear, knowing their well-being is a priority. At the end of the day, prioritizing well-being isn't just about cutting costs or mitigating risk. It's about building a stronger, more adaptable, and frankly, more human foundation for the future of not just your organization, but for the economy as a whole.
And that leaves us with one final, crucial thought to chew on. As the world of work keeps transforming at this incredible pace, we really have to ask, is the health and well-being of our people becoming the single most valuable asset we have? Based on everything we've seen, the answer seems to be a resounding yes.